tell me you want to mute it.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, Facebook family. Good evening, YouTube. We are so glad to be with you tonight. Tonight is Sunday, Mother's Day. And so I am Stacy, and this is
Ray.
And we are the Lovebirds. And so tonight we have a special guest. This is my mom, my queen. My queen. Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Alice Harris.
All right. And so we are excited to have, we call her Mama Harris, right? People who know her call her Mama Harris. And so we are so excited to have Mother on with us tonight. And we pray for stability with our internet on tonight because it is raining outside. And so we pray for stability tonight. And so what are we going to talk about tonight? So we are going to talk about love. We are going to talk about vows. We're going to talk about commitment. We are going to talk about marriage. We are going to talk about it all. And we have someone who's going to impart some marital wisdom into you all tonight. Listen, she's been married. She's a widow now, but she was married for over 48 years. That's a long time. She was with her husband since 18, actually. They got married at 18, so they were together before that. But I'm going to let her explain all that to you on tonight. So thank you all for joining us
on the special edition of our Mother's Day edition.
Yes, and so we're taking up time with my mom where we could be family bonding, right? But she was willing to come on here and to share with you all. So I am going to first ask her, Mother Harris, when you were married, what did you find to be the most enjoyable time in your marriage? What was the most enjoyable time in your marriage? And these are on-the-spot questions. We didn't go over this.
Family time. Okay. We thrive really hard on family time because we both worked. And so whenever we were with our kids, that was very important to us. And we'd always plan stuff to do on our days off. And especially Friday was our family night. And I enjoyed that because the kids look forward to it. And a lot of times we'd be up until 2 or 3 in the morning, still doing our thing, our family time. And that's what's really important with families, the bonding time, because the father's out of the home, the mother's out of the home, the kids are out of the home. But when you come together, you'll be surprised spending time with your family, what your kids will tell you that they didn't tell you all week.
That's a good one. That's a good one. What your kids will tell you, what they didn't tell you all week through family time. Okay. And so what was the most enjoyable time with just you and your husband? Could you tell us a time that you could think of, whether it was a vacation or whether it was just a day out, but with the two of you? What did you enjoy? Because we talked about date night on the show. We talked about how to revive the marriage, how to restore. So tell us some things that you did in your marriage that was helpful to you and Dad.
Well, one of the things that I enjoyed was he worked all over the state of Connecticut, driving to different banks. And I worked in New Haven. And what I found very enjoyable was when he was stationed in New Haven. We always, he'd be there for like 3 or 4 weeks. And that was our personal time. I get to know each other again time. We drove to work together. We had lunch together. We drove home together. We did a lot of talking about things that we hadn't talked about or thought about. So it was just that one-on-one time. I found that was very important to me. And I loved it when he worked in New Haven.
So you're meaning you worked in New Haven too,
Yeah.
and he just happened to be working at that
That
site. Okay, so he worked at that site, and so just driving together, awesome. Because I know sometimes when I'm driving in the car with with my Ray over here. Sometimes it's quiet in the car, right, honey?
Yeah, sometimes it is.
It's quiet in the car. He's either. What are you doing when we're riding in the car? What are you doing? What are you thinking about?
I'm usually just meditating, thinking on different things, business running through my head, things about the church, things about the kids.
Okay, so is there anybody out there who can relate? You're riding in a car with your spouse, it's quiet, or you're riding in a car with your spouse and you're conversating. So it's different for many people. But I do find that when you are in the car alone, just you and your spouse, it is a moment for communication. Right? A moment for communication. Communication is essential. Hi, Josh. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Samantha. Hi, Jevin. And so communication is important because what's missing, right? And a lot of the marriages is communication. There's misconcepts. Right? He's saying one thing, I'm saying one thing, or I'm not hearing and he's not hearing. No one's listening. So communication is essential. So what do you think about that, Mom? What would you say about communication?
Communications is the key to keeping a marriage together. One of the things you have to do is talk to each other. You should know your spouse well enough to know when he comes home, if he's had a good day or a bad day. And sometimes we have to know when to talk and when to back off and give them time to themselves. And after he's been home for a while, just say, anything you want to talk about. And if not, 9 times out of 10 by bedtime, you two will talk about whatever happened that day. So it's always communication is what's going to keep your marriage really solid. And even though we were married so many years, he called me every day when I got to work. Even though we just left each other 45 minutes, he called me every day. He'd call me when he thought I was back from lunch. He'd call me on my way home. He'd say, could you stop? Or what are we going to have for dinner? It was always, we always talked. We did a lot of talking because all we had was each other and the kids. That was our world. We had our private world, and that was our world. I love the rest of my family, but our private world was him, I, and the kids.
So what I'm finding nowadays is that people do not communicate, right? Because everything is a text message, right? Everything is a text. Everything is a DM. Everything is a social media post, right? People have gotten away from communicating and talking one-on-one. What annoys me the most is when a couple is together and they're texting one another in the house, right? They're texting one another in the house. There is a breakdown in communication when we do that, right? So we're taking away from the essence of communication in our marriage. So what I won't say older, but what the more seasoned married couples enjoyed was communicating with one another, right? Communicating with one another and just spending some quality alone time together. And so I'm going to ask Mama here. So can you tell me, where do you think that in your 48 years of marriage, where your marriage was maybe tested the most? Like, what do you think maybe tested your marriage the most, but it strengthened it?
Your dad's sickness. He had kidney problems, and it tested. That's when you really find out how much you love someone. Especially when they're in and out of the hospital, back and forth, and you have to see them suffer and go through things. And I never left the hospital unless Stacy, you came up and would say I had to leave and go home and sleep some. But that was the hardest time, I think, in our whole marriage. But I always kept saying to myself, if the shoe was reversed, he would stand by me no matter what. And that's what got me through that. And I'm not going to say it wasn't hard. It was hard. But I took a vow before God, for better or worse. I enjoyed all the good times, and now I had to go through the bad times. And that's what you do when you love somebody, and that's what you do when you make a promise to that person. And it was hard. We're talking almost 15 years of illness. So um, you just have to make the best, remember the good times. And he insisted that we took vacation, even when he was sick. People would say to me, I can't believe you two go on vacation and he goes to dialysis. And it took a lot to plan that because I'd have to call the state that we're going to set up, try and get a place for him to go to dialysis and get all his information down. And when we were on vacation, I'd have to take him, drop him off, go back, pick him up. And even with that, we found good times out of that. When I pick him up, him and I would go out to eat. And because a lot of times he couldn't eat before dialysis, so we'd stop on the way and talk before we joined the rest of the family, because we never went on vacation without the family. So, and there was always 10 to 12 of us together. So that was very trying, but I find today that they don't stick by their vows. Only in the good times.
So what would you say to a couple that may be experiencing some issues in their marriage through one of the vows, which is in sickness and in health? What would you say to a new married couple about that?
Well, enjoy your good times. And in sickness, still enjoy your good times. And remember, you always have to keep remembering your vows, and it'll take you through. And don't forget it. And remember, it could have been you, and you wouldn't want him to leave you.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point. That it could have been you. It could have been you. Again, guys, please bear with us. It is raining here, and so our internet connection may be a little bit fuzzy, may go in and out, but please try to bear with us in this segment, because we are getting some good wisdom, right? Getting some good wisdom from the table with Mother Harris, who, like I said, was married for over 48 years, spent a lot of time with her spouse, And so is there any questions? Hi, Tanya. Hi, Tanya. Thank you so much. Happy Mother's Day to you too as well. And so are there any questions that any of you, I know Samantha had questions that she wanted to ask Mother Harris. So if you have a question, just type it into the chat, or something that you would like to ask Ray or I, or ask Mother Harris, so that we can address it. We have her for another 15 minutes, so we want to seize the moment. We want to seize the moment with her on tonight. And so I want to say, when I was growing up, because I am a product of two wonderful parents, right? Two wonderful parents. I can attest to that. I never seen my parents argue. Right. I never seen my parents argue. My parents never argued in front of me or my siblings. Right. That wasn't a trait that I carried over. My mom gets on me all the time because I'm the in the moment person. If I wait till later, I may forget about it. And then by later, I'm a little bit calm. So, I'm not in the moment person, but the Lord has tempered all of that for me. And so now, we don't do that as much anymore. We'll wait, we'll go in the car, we'll go for a walk. The best place to go if you're having a disagreement is to a restaurant, right? And everything's opening back up again, because you're not going to get all loud and indignant in a restaurant and be all boisterous. Some of us like to maintain our composure in public. So those are good things to do. So I want to say, I never seen my parents argue. And that's a plus for me. And I want to say that I seen my mom when my dad was very sick. But you know what? She made it look very easy. She made it look easy because she never left his side. She was always there with him. She never complained. Anything that he needed, she was there. She was there. And a lot of times, what we see now is that people are not as committed, right? Commitment is a big word. Commitment to the marriage, commitment to the vows, commitment to the family. Seems to be a biggie. So Samantha's asking a question. Can you be lonely in your marriage, and how do you keep it from getting to that stage? Good question, Samantha. Good question. Can you be lonely in your marriage? Can you be lonely in your marriage, and how do you keep it from getting to that point? I'm gonna defer it to Mother Harris.
No, you can't get lonely. It depends on you. When you feel like there's an issue, conversation. It's time to have a conversation. And a lot of times we used to sit face to face, and I'd say what I had to say, and he'd repeat it. Then he'd say what he had to say, and I'd repeat it. That was to make sure we understood what the other person was saying. And when I would say, well, I'm really, frustrated and I need to get out. And he would say, well, what do you want to do? My husband didn't like to shop. I love to shop. So we would go to New York. And that gave us time on the train. That was conversation time, fun time, talking about other people on the train, laughing at other people. And he would take a book, stand outside the store, read, wash up. And we learned to entertain each other and find out what the other person wanted to do. So, like, I like to shop. He was strictly a businessman. He would join different things, and that meant I had to get involved. And I didn't like it. But when I did something, he helped me, and he stood behind me. So when he did something like Amway, which I hated, I stood behind him. It's a give in marriage. It's give and take. You have to give some, and you have to take some. And if you're lonely, it starts within you. What can you do to spark up your marriage? What can you do not to be lonely? Read to each other.
That's good. That's a good one. Read to each other.
That was one of the things we used to do. We used to play games in the room, cards, anything to interact with each other. And texting your spouse, it can cause more harm than good, because he might misunderstand what you're saying in the text. So texting, not a fan really of texting, because I might mean one thing and you might take it for something else. It's just as easy to say, we need to talk. But when you say we need to talk, smile. Because when you say we need to talk to men, they get upset.
You want to jump in there?
Well, because, like I said, men and women, their brains are wired differently. That's number one. And for a man, when a woman says, I want to talk, the first thing we figure, it's a problem.
Yep.
We got to deal with a problem. We're the firemen, now we got to come put out the fire. But that doesn't always necessarily is the case. Sometimes they just want to express what they're feeling. We all want to have somebody listen to how we feel. We all do. And the hardest thing is to be in a relationship with a person that you don't talk to. I agree with what Mother Harris said about the texting. Listen, don't text me and we're in the same house.
That's crazy.
Talk to me.
That's crazy.
Call my name. Because for me, it makes me feel I'm not worth anything to you.
There you go.
You text strangers. You communicate with strangers like that. If you can't call me, honey, I need you, or Ray, come here for a minute, That's total disrespect to me.
So I want to say where Mother Harris said, when you're texting your spouse, there could be miscommunication in what you're saying. I know that at my job, right, because I'm a union president, I know that a lot of times there's issues from emails, right? Because the tone of the email, the tone of the writing in it, as well. And so someone can be saying something so kind. So let me just explain. I'm a person who, if I'm always doing things in a rush sometimes, if I push the capital by mistake and I'm typing in all capital letters, I'm not mad. I'm in a rush and I'm just trying to let you know what I need to let you know. And people will write back, why are you yelling? Are you screaming? What are you upset about? What do you mean? I'm like, well, I wasn't screaming. I was in a rush. And so I was just sending it quickly. So to cut down on some of the marital stress, right? And miscommunication, maybe call and leave a voicemail, right? Leave a voicemail if they don't answer. I love to hear my husband's voice. I do. It's so sexy. He has a deep voice on the phone. I love to hear his voice. When he leaves me a message, I even have like 4 or 5 saved on my voicemail. So when I'm having a bad day, I go back and listen to those messages and they cheer me up. They really cheer me up. So good evening to Monica. Good evening, Monica. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to you. Good evening, Karita. We love you as well. And so we are just enjoying this moment that we have with Mother Harris. If there's questions that you would like to ask her, again, I would love for you to chime in and write your questions out to her. But I want to address one more thing. Mother, how do you feel about, and we didn't have this in our family, but how do you feel about blended families? Because what I'm seeing is people will come into a marriage, right? Because people have been married before or had children before being married. And then they get married with these children to become a blended family. What are your views on that? Because some of the things that I'm seeing with blended families is sometimes it's a negative, right? The wife is jealous of the kids, or the husband is jealous of the kids, or the relationship that the wife has with the ex in co-parenting. So what would you say to the younger generation about this? What would you say?
One of the things I would say is when you date someone that has kids, you're not just dating their mother or their father. You're dating the family. And, you know, I've seen this happen so many times that when you get into a relationship and they have a child, the other person plays up to the child and makes all over the child. And then as soon as they get married, the child is a problem. So what I'm going to have to say is you're going to have to really use your brain and your heart and your mind to say, is this person putting on? Because this could be a deal breaker. As far as with my kids, it's a deal breaker for me. If you can't love my kids like you love me, you're wasting my time. So you have to be sincere about going into a relationship with someone that has kids. And they're going to be differences. And one of the things is you have to do it slow. You know, you can't have her go in, take over being the mom and da-da-da. Nope. It's gradual. You know, let her do this for a little bit and, you know, maybe put her to bed and talk to, you know, but you just can't let someone come in and take over the things that you were doing, because there's going to be a lot of resentment on her part and the kids' part.
I agree. And so we are a product of a blended family, my husband and I. My oldest daughter My oldest daughter was my wedding gift, right? And so I always call her my wedding gift because she came with the husband, right? And so my daughter lived with us. She lived with us for many years, and she went to high school in our town and everything. No one in our town knew that that was my stepdaughter. I never used the word step because step is something that we used to walk up on, right? To elevate or whatever. She was my daughter. She was my daughter. When I took her father as my husband, not only did I take him, but I took everything that went along with him into my heart, And so I took my daughter as my own, right? Because I would want someone to treat my child the way I would want it to be treated. Not it, her or him, to be treated. And so I treated her as if she was my own daughter. No one knew. We had the same last name, right? So no one knew. They had no idea that she was not my biological daughter. Okay. They did not know that until probably, I want to say maybe graduation, when her biological mother came to the graduation. No one had no idea for over 8 years. They had no idea, right? Because I made a commitment to my husband to love him, right? To honor and to cherish him. And if I'm going to say that I love my husband, I must love his seeds, right? His seeds. I must love his seeds, because I cannot say that I really love him without loving the children. And I see this a lot where women treat the stepchildren, because that's what they are, the wicked stepmother or the wicked stepfather. They treat them exactly as if they are stepping on them. They have feelings. Listen, these kids might be the one that have to take care of you in your old age. They might have to be the ones to take care of you after an accident. They might be the ones that have to come and take care of you during COVID, during cancer, during dementia, whatever it may be. These children may be the ones that have to come in to take care of you when the going gets rough, right? I love my daughter. I love all of my children, and I thank God for each and every one of them. And my oldest daughter, she's the one who actually allowed me to be a mom first. She gave me the experience of being a mom first. And sometimes I think I might have been more partial to her than I was to my own children, right? But we were all a unit. We were all a unit. Right. And so if there is a separation, right, between the children and the adults, somebody needs to go sit on somebody's couch and talk about it and get some therapy. Because what you are doing to the children, you are mentally harming them for their future. Yep. Right. Because what you are doing to them will be planted in their mind. We can always forgive, but we'll never forget.
And remember, a house divided against itself will not stand. You can't have two different factions in the house. Nothing will get accomplished. Nobody will be happy. So to keep the peace, to keep the harmony within the home, talk about it. Sit down. Have family meetings. That's something that we have gotten away from.
Family meetings. We used to have family meetings, but my parents be like, family meeting. Me and my brother be like, oh, what we do? Oh my God. But then they would call us together for family meetings for fun stuff to tell us what's going on vacation, or just to see how we were doing. But family meetings are essential. I think we're gonna have to talk about this some more. We're gonna have to, because we're coming up on the 9 o'clock hour. We're gonna have to talk about blended families some more. And I think I'm gonna have to get I've seen a good therapist on when Pastor Sherry Harris was on. There was a good therapist. I think I'm going to have to bring him on to the show, because I'm feeling this in my spirit that we need to address this more because it is an issue. It's an issue for many people, because, you got to think of the components. Sometimes the ex-wife is not really happy that you're married again, and so there may be some issues that she may try to cause along the way, or the man is having some issues. So I'm feeling in my spirit that we need to address this a little bit. I see you, my sister. Yes, we will address this a little bit further. Blended families. Probably in about another 2 to 3 weeks, I just need to reach out to the therapist to be able to get him to come on. And then that way we'll probably have the staging of our show together, because we are just learning this streaming capabilities, and we want to get it together where we can add our guests in. So if there's anybody out there who's technical savvy with live stream and streaming, and you're willing to help the lovebirds, please, we would love to have you. And we cannot wait to get our theme song together. They're working on it as we speak. So God is doing great things. Right? He's doing great things for us. And so it is 9:01. I do not want to take away from Mother Harris. We still have not really opened all of our Mother's Day gifts. We love to do that in the evening as a family unit with all of my siblings. They're over there watching and waiting. And so we want to say to Mother Harris, thank you so much for joining us on our show, Love Still Matters. After the vows, we will have her back again. We will have her back again, because she taught me everything I know. She taught me how to be a woman. She taught me how to be a wife. How did she teach me how to be a wife? Through example, right? Through example, the way she lived. I watched. I'm a person who watches people's movements and actions, right? Because love is an action word. Don't tell me you love me. Show me. Display it. Okay. And so I watched her. I watched her for many years, through the ups, through the downs, through the sickness. I watched it all. And that's why I say my mom, she is truly my superhero. She is my everything, right? Because she always made it look easy. Making money made it look easy. Giving us what we wanted made it look easy. Being married, she made it look easy. Listen, some days I don't like adulting and I want to go back home, but I can't because I have my own family now. But our parents made it look so easy. They made it look so easy. And so I want to say to you, thank you for joining us. To all the mothers, happy Mother's Day. I pray that you had a blessed day. And to all the marriages, all the married couples, I pray abundance over your marriage. I speak life into your marriage.
Yes.
I bind anything that comes against the marriage that means that any evil, any harm to your atmosphere. I speak life to your marriage, longevity, peace, happiness, and joy, that the two of you may come together stronger. That the two of you may come together stronger. And so as you two begin to see how you need to elevate your marriage, the things that you need to work on, I hope that we're helping somebody. We're not experts, but we've been through it. We've been through it. And so thank you so much. Hi, Brother Mark. Hi, Anthony. How are you? Hi, Shanae. How are you? Mark, I'm going to have to get you and LaShawn on too, because you guys have been married over 25 years and I'd love to have you guys come on. But thank you all so much for joining us. And we will see you next week, same time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Love Still Matters. After the vows. Men, treat your wives good. Do something wonderful for the mothers. Take care. God bless. You all want to say anything before we leave?
God bless.
Stay safe.
All right. We will see you all next week. All right. And next week, we're going to have a raffle. Next week, we're going to be giving away t-shirts, right? We're going to be giving away matching t-shirts to a couple who joins us next week. So tell your friends, invite them to tune in, because it's summer's coming up. And I want everybody to know that you all are still in love. Good night. See you next week.